When you think of a cult, we usually imagine a dark room with shadowy figures wearing heavy robes and chanting mysterious languages. Cults that work in fiction tend to begin the same way cults begin in real life, with something genuine, a community that attracts desperate, hurt, or lost individuals and provides them with a feeling that's greater than anything the person has found before. An idea that finally makes sense of their suffering that never made sense before, and a purpose that makes someone feel like their existence counts, all led by a charismatic leader who orchestrates it all. In this video, we'll cover how you can write a convincing cult for your next fantasy story, what makes a fictional cult believable, and what questions you'll need to answer before you add it into your fantasy world. First, let's determine what separates a cult from a religion in your world. Established religions in most fictional worlds are institutionalized. They have buildings, hierarchies, written texts, and public ceremonies. They've negotiated with governments, survived wars, absorbed heresies, and outlasted their founders by centuries. Authority in a religion doesn't live in a higher power and tradition. The institution can survive the death of any individual member because the rules are bigger than any one person. A cult is newer, or smaller, or deliberately outside those structures. Its authority lives in a person. One individual claims access to truth, revelation, or power that others don't have, and other people choose to believe them. The whole structure radiates outward from that central figure. That's what makes cults narratively unstable. The founder's credibility is load-bearing. When it cracks, everything underneath it cracks too. You could use the approach of having your cult also believe in a higher power, or even the same higher power as a religion in your world. But the cult leader claims to have a direct connection to the higher power, or special understanding outside of the religion. It's also worth knowing that most established religions began as movements that looked, from the outside, exactly like what we'd now call a cult. Small, intense, organized around a living leader, viewed with suspicion by the dominant culture. Whether a religious movement becomes a dangerous cult or a new faith often comes down to time, numbers, and whether it survived its founder's death with enough institutional weight to persist. If your story is set early enough in a religion's history, the protagonist might be watching that line get drawn in real time, and both sides of the argument might have reasonable cases. You can also write a cult that never intends to become mainstream. The smallness is part of the appeal. Followers feel valuable because most people don't have it. The sense of being among the few who understand is the product the cult is selling. People don't join cults because they're stupid or weak. They join because the cult has something they genuinely needed, and nothing else was offering it. Community is probably the most common draw. People in transition, recently moved, recently divorced, recently failed, recently lost someone, aren't looking for doctrine when they walk through the door. They're looking for somewhere to belong. The belief system is secondary to the group of people who show up when you're struggling, who remember your name, who include you in meals and plans and conversations, and who make you feel like you exist. That's what they're joining. And they're not wrong that it's real. The community often is real, at least in the beginning. Certainty is another major offering. Uncertainty is exhausting, especially around the questions that actually matter. Why bad things happen to people who don't deserve them? What comes after death? What a person is supposed to do with their life? Why some specific and terrible thing happened that can't be undone? A cult with clean and complete answers to all of those questions is genuinely appealing. The answers might be wrong, but they're whole. They leave no gaps. For someone drowning in ambiguity, a framework that makes everything make sense is almost irresistible. Cults also offer purpose, specifically the sense of having been chosen. Being told that this group, this mission, this truth was always waiting for you is a powerful thing to hear if your previous experience has been invisibility. A character who has spent their life feeling irrelevant, whose choices never seem to matter, who can't answer the question of why they're here. A cult that says, "We've been waiting for someone like you," is offering them an identity they've never had before. And some cults offer hierarchy. Rising within the group structure means status, access, and authority. A character who has been powerless in every other context they've lived in can become someone important inside a cult. They give orders. Their judgment is deferred to. They receive information that others don't. That elevation creates loyalty because the member now has something to lose by leaving. What the cult offers determines who joins it and how hard it is to leave. A member who joined for community can potentially find community elsewhere. A member who joined for certainty has a much harder time leaving the cult, because leaving means voluntarily returning to a world that doesn't make sense to them. What a cult takes away from its followers is never fully presented up front. The extraction reveals itself gradually, and by the time the full cost is visible, the member has usually already given too much to easily walk away. Autonomy goes first, slowly enough that each step feels reasonable. Rules become more strict. More behaviors come under the group's jurisdiction. What to eat, who to spend time with, how to speak about the leader, what kinds of questions are acceptable to ask publicly. Breaking any rule risks losing status or belonging, so the followers of the cult begins to self-police. Outside relationships get severed, usually framed as protection. The outside world doesn't understand what you've found. Relationships with people who haven't committed to the group create divided loyalties and introduce doubts that could harm the leader's plans. The end result is that the cult becomes the followers' entire social world, which makes leaving mean losing everyone they know all at once. Replacing your identity is the most intense form of controlling a cult's followers. Some cults replace names, daily schedules, speech patterns, clothing, and the member's own story about their past. The old self is explicitly reframed as the problem, the corrupted, pre-enlightenment version that the cult is in the process of saving them from. Once a member has accepted that who they were before was broken and wrong, returning to that version of themselves feels like death. Leaving the cult means ceasing to exist as the person they've become. Beyond what it takes, there are active mechanisms that keep members in place once doubts start forming. Information control is one of the most effective tools. What sources of knowledge are permitted? Who gets to interpret the doctrine? A cult that controls what its members read, watch, and discuss controls what conclusions they can reach. Members who encounter outside information are taught to run it through a filter, to treat outside perspectives as inherently corrupted, biased, or dangerous. This means that even direct evidence against the cult gets presented in a way that reinforces the cult's credibility. The cult members are indoctrinated against the truth by being told in advance that the truth will look like an attack. Approval and punishment cycles keep members emotionally weak in ways that are hard to recognize from inside. When a member shows loyalty, they receive warmth, approval, and higher status. When they show doubt or act independently, they receive cold treatment, exclusion, or public correction. The member never knows which version of the community they'll get. This unpredictability creates a kind of desperate attachment. They're always working to get back to the warmth, and the warmth feels more meaningful because of the contrast. Us versus them language builds walls against outside influences. The story that cults usually believe is that the outside world is spiritually blind, corrupted, dangerous, or actively hostile to what the group is doing. This framing means that any external criticism of the cult is already explained before it arrives. Of course outsiders would say that. They don't understand. They're afraid of the truth. They're part of the forces trying to suppress it. Criticism becomes evidence of the cult's importance and correctness. All of this accumulates and traps members within. By the time someone seriously considers leaving, they've often already burned their outside relationships, spent significant money, reorganized their identity around the group's doctrine, and built their entire daily life around the group's schedule. Leaving isn't just a change of belief. It's losing housing, income, social connections, purpose, and the person they've been for however long they've been a member. That's not a small ask regardless of what the person believes, and writers who don't account for this tend to write escapes that feel too easy. The leader's inner life is one of the most significant decisions you'll make when designing a cult. The most obvious version in fiction is the manipulator, someone who invented the doctrine, knows it's false, and runs the organization for personal gain. That's a valid direction, but it tends to produce flat antagonists unless handled carefully, because a fully calculating leader is always one step removed from the reader's sympathy. They're executing a plan. They're not a person caught in something they built. A more interesting version is the true believer. The founder had a real experience, a vision, a crisis, a moment that genuinely shattered and remade how they understood the world, and built a worldview around it in good faith. The doctrine might be wrong. The organization might become harmful, but the person at the center is sincere. This version is uncomfortable because the founder can be sympathetic even as the structure they've built causes damage. They didn't plan the harm. They just couldn't see past the thing that happened to them. Then there's the gradually corrupted founder. They started with something genuine and lost it along the way. Followers needed certainty from someone who had real doubts, so the leader learned to perform certainty. The performance became habit. The habit became identity. Success attracted people who wanted power rather than belief, and the inner circle shifted. Each individual compromise was small. None of them felt like a point of no return until they were already past it. Fractured leadership is a fourth option worth considering. The founder is a true believer. Their inner circle has long since gone cynical and manages the founder's image for their own purposes. The outer membership believes completely. Nobody inside this organization has the same relationship to the doctrine, and that inconsistency becomes pressure that cracks when the right stress is applied to it. A cult that exists only in isolation is a contained story, one that's embedded in the rest of your world, in conflict with existing institutions, exploiting political crises, competing with established religions, recruiting during famines or wars or economic collapses, becomes a much more of an engine for the plot of your story. Some cults pursue mainstream acceptance. They're building toward legitimacy, seeking positions in government, access to courts and schools and commerce. They don't plan to stay a fringe group forever. This puts them in direct conflict with established power structures that don't want to share, which creates stories about which institution will outlast the other. Some cults survive on persecution. An external enemy who attacks the group proves the leader right. The outside world is exactly as dangerous as the doctrine claimed. Martyrdom is a resource. Government crackdowns often strengthen cults in the short term by reinforcing the us versus them boundary that holds members in place. A character who wants to dismantle the cult by confronting it directly might be making things worse. Some cults are invisible. Members hold regular jobs, live in ordinary neighborhoods, participate in community life. The internal structure is hidden beneath a surface that looks completely normal. For stories where a character discovers that someone they trusted, a neighbor, a family member, a colleague, is part of something they can't see, this version creates a particular kind of dread. And some cults fracture under their own pressure before any outside force brings them down. A financial crisis, a scandal, a member who defects and brings the outside world's attention with them, or simply the founder's death. When the person who was the center of everything stops being the center, everyone who built their identity around proximity to that person starts fighting for control. A cult that collapses suddenly and cleanly isn't the only option. You could also make the cult slowly unravel over time. Some members continue holding on. Some members start defecting. Some splitting off to form a smaller and purer version of what the original group was supposed to be, etc. Lastly, when writing a cult in your story, try to write at least a few scenes from the perspective of someone who fully believes in the cult. Give the reader the inside view that oblivious cult members see, where the community is warm, the doctrine makes sense, the leader is trustworthy, and the rules feel protective rather than controlling. The reader stays outside the experience, watching foolish people make foolish choices for reasons they believe are good. Also, ask what happens when the cult is tested, like when crisis hits, or a prophecy the leader told everyone about doesn't materialize. Someone the leader claimed to have healed dies anyway, or the leader acting in ways that directly contradict their own doctrine. Some members will find rationalized explanations that preserve the belief. Some will start to question quietly. Some will commit more intensely because it's better than admitting they were fooled. Doubt is terrifying, and doubling down on certainty is the only way they know to stop it. And when a cult collapses, the story doesn't end. Members who merely deeply invested are now broken. Their worldview has been completely dismantled. Their former relationships with people on the outside are now gone or damaged. Their finances may now be depleted, and their identity that was built around the group and that structure is now destroyed. People who leave cults walk out into a kind of emptiness that takes years to fill. And if you're writing a character who escapes, the aftermath is where a lot of the real story lives. If this video helped you, hit the like button and leave a comment below. Also, if you want to get started writing your first one-shot manga, head over to mangascript.com to download the one-shot guide. It's a page-by-page breakdown of 3 high-quality manga one-shots, and it makes it 10 times easier to write your own script. And don't forget to join our Discord community. The link is in the description. It's a great place to share your work and connect with fellow creators. Thanks for watching.